What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning the redemption list. Yes, another name has reached the redemption list due to observation, and this is no other than Dillian Whyte. And a lot of people think, well, no, Dillian Whyte hasn't lost lately. No, he hasn't lost lately, but he's been through a lot as of last year, a lot of his struggle. But that isn't the reason why he made the redemption list. The reason for his name being added to the list is because of his performance in the last fight. And not only his performance, his physical state, okay? Dillian Whyte, I've looked at the last 5 fights that he's been involved in. The Parker fight, the Whyte fight, the Rivas fight, the Brown fight, and the Chisora 2 fight, okay? And in all these fights, if you look at Chisora 2, it was a high anticipated local British brawl, which was a great fight. The first one was great also. And his weight was that of where it should be, okay? He came in at 246.9, almost 247 pounds, but he's 6'4", he's a big guy. You expect nothing less. His performance was very good. It was a very competitive fight, and it ended in a dynamic knockout in the 11th round, as we saw. Now, we go to Lucas Brown. He came in at 254, which you could say, well, that's not too bad. You know, it's 7 pounds difference from the Chisora 2 fight, but, you know, it's still decent. You know, he knocked out Brown, I think, in 7 or 8 rounds. Very classic left hook. He came down with the left hook, taking Brown out, okay? Now, we look at the Parker fight. He came in at 258, which was 4 pounds heavier than the Brown fight. I mean, 4 pounds heavier than the Brown fight. But we noticed things started to change, and let me explain something to you, okay? In the Joseph Parker fight, he found himself winded, gassed, almost got knocked out himself. He got dropped in the 12th round, if you guys can remember that. And he even admitted it was due to his physical overall condition, okay? So we were saying, like, okay, well, wait a minute, man, 258, close to 260, anything over that is really past your comfort level, okay? That was a warning right there. That was a warning. Now, he goes into the Rivas fight, coming in on a pound heavier than he did in the Parker fight. But he looked good in the Parker fight. Even though he got dropped once again, like he did with Parker, but he dropped Parker. He hit Parker with a left hook. And Parker, you know, you got to give him props from getting up, because Chisora didn't get up from that same left hook, right? Okay. He looked good. He looked a little bigger, you know, but you could tell he was still training. Okay. Now, still a warning. Now, I know all the things happened with UCAD and the BBBFC and all the drama between the WBC and VADA and all that stuff, right? I can understand it's overwhelming, but you can't blame that by itself for him gradually moving up in weight like he was, okay? Because when he didn't have the opportunity to fight, it was December 7th on the undercard of Ruiz Joshua 2, and he came in at 271 pounds, and he looked like shit. He had a grueling, grinding, pushing performance. Okay, he had to work for every combination. You can tell he was not in the gym. You could tell that he struggled in there with a guy that he shouldn't have struggled with. Sure, Whyte was tough, but Whyte shouldn't have been able to take the punches. It was like he was not in shape enough to put his own punches together. So they came off winging. He came off like as though he was fighting, as though he was fatigued. And he was fighting that way because he was not in shape. Okay? So that could have been disastrous if Whyte was a better fighter. That could have been a bad upset for Dillian Whyte because he took a fight that he really wasn't ready for. And if it really was mentally draining, which I'm sure it was, I'm sure all that crap was mentally draining because this is something you can't physically fight yourself through. This is a mental, financial battle outside the ring that you have to deal with a lot of politics, a lot of other BS, a lot of he said, she said, a lot of litigations, a lot of court hearings, a lot of everything. I understand that. But if he wasn't ready, he shouldn't have took the fight because he looked terrible. Sure, despite what he went through, you can give him merit for that, but he joins the list because this, I feel, doesn't ever have everything to do with what happened. Why? Because of what we've seen. We've seen 246 go to 154, 254 to 258, 258 to 259, 259 to 271, on top of when he did knock out Chisora, which he was 246. He ballooned up in weight, in which we talked about also. And see, that's something that he has to work on. That's what gets him on the list, not being consistent. He knows that he loves to eat. He has to regulate that appetite. If he doesn't, he's going to end up in situations like this because all it took was a bad day and a bad call, right? From somebody that I think was honestly trying to bury him and keep him back from certain success, in progressing in his career. But that has nothing to do with his physical condition. Okay, that takes mental strength. So you do question yourself, how strong is Dillian Whyte really? Because it's like, yeah, man, I went through this, I went through that, but then, hey, I'm mentally strong. Well, you didn't consistently stay in the gym as though a mentally strong person would do. You know what I mean? It sounds good to say to the public, like, yeah, I've been training, I'm in the gym. Look, let me take the selfie on Twitter, on Instagram. But at the end of the day, we see you coming in at a soaring 271 pounds. You came in heavier than Andy Ruiz in the first fight with Joshua. But the only difference is Ruiz's are automatically a fat bastard. That's him automatically. Okay? And you can see the difference between how people carry weight. Ruiz carried it well. He wasn't wincing. He didn't struggle to put punches together. He didn't fight like a fat guy that hasn't been in the ring. Dillian Whyte did. Dillian Whyte looked in that performance against Whyte, it was under satisfactory. Okay? And again, if that would have been someone else, if that would have been Oscar Rivas, for example, he would have been knocked out. Now, that would have been amazing to have a rematch with Oscar Rivas, and that would actually be a fight that I would entertain. Why? Because there were things that weren't said to Team Rivas that should have been said. Okay? Now, no, Dillian Whyte hasn't lost. He's fought for everything that he's fought for, but in this situation when he fought Whyte, I don't think he was ready. If he wasn't ready, he shouldn't have fought. But that has nothing to do with his weight gradually on the incline like it is. That shows that, hey, something's going on in his camp, and these warnings keep happening. If he comes in heavier than before, he could come in out of shape, and if he comes in out of shape, he gets beat. He gets beat by a good fighter. Other than Oscar Rivas, let's say that's Luis Ortiz. Now, if you compare Luis Ortiz's performance against Wilder and Dillian Whyte's last performance against Whyte, okay, you put those two guys together. You switch out opponents and you see what would happen if Ortiz would have fought that night, would have fought Dillian Whyte that night at 271, a soaring 271. A lot of people will, you can be Dillian Whyte fans if you want, but you have to admit he looked like shit that night. Just like, hey, I admit Luis Ortiz looked like shit when he fought Christian Hammer. That's no secret. There's no bias. That's just facts. So Dillian Whyte wasn't at his best. And with a fighter like that has to fight for every tooth and nail, for everything that he has to fight for 2 or 3 times more than probably the next person, especially the big 3 top heavyweights, he has to come in shape. That's why he's on the list. That's why he needs to get off that redemption list by showing to me in the next fight, hey, I can come in and regulate my weight. And what happens is now, what is he doing right now? This is between. These are the seasons. Yeah, this is the cold season. You know, people like to hibernate and gain weight and shit like that, you know. But then here's the deal. He can't afford to do that. So this is going to be a struggle for him. That's how he gets himself off the list, by showing that he doesn't balloon up in weight so much that he has to spend time losing weight, which he doesn't lose weight. He ends up coming in overweight and having a poor performance. Until he can do that, he's on the redemption list. You guys tell me what you think about Dillian Whyte's placement on the redemption list. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.